In a previous video, I covered 4 stories of times YouTube animators got exposed, but little did I know that that was just the tip of the iceberg. You guys flooded to the comments to spill the tea on YouTube animators that had skeletons in their closets. So today, we're covering even more animation content creators who have been exposed for all sorts of things, from being money-hungry leeches to, let me just check my notes, being animal fart porn enthusiasts. I wish my life would have turned out differently, so that I didn't have to tell the world about animal fart porn, but apparently that's what we're doing today. So just like with the last video, we're gonna start off with some tamer tales, and as the video progresses, the stories are going to get absolutely ridiculous. If you're weak, you can wave the white flag and tap out anytime you want. But dear viewer, if you make it to the end of this video, absolute degeneracy awaits. So with that said, let's begin with a bit of a controversial one. To some people, she's a victim. To others, she's a villain. It's Ilymation. Ilymation is a very successful YouTube Storytime animator with roughly 2.7 million subscribers. Taking a look at her channel, a lot of her content is to do with the struggles and challenges she's faced and overcome in her life, such as school gossip and drama, pets I've loved and lost, and dating when you're autistic. Given this drama's virality, I think there's a lot of people that are watching this would have already made their mind up over whether Ilymation is a victim or a villain. But regardless of what you think of her, I genuinely respect her for being so vulnerable in her content. That said, back in spring of 2024, the internet was divided after a video of hers, called The Perks of Being the Fat Kid, included a soundbite that was the subject of a tremendous amount of scrutiny when trying to make the point that we should redefine what healthy means.
Body neutrality is the idea of taking a neutral stance on how we look. Not bullying ourselves for what we think we should change, but also not worshipping the parts of ourselves that do align with diet culture. This way of thinking challenges us to look in the mirror and say, yep, that's my body, and finally celebrate its existence for what it can do, not for how it looks. And when it comes to food, that same logic should apply. A carrot isn't an inherent good food, while chocolate is an inherent bad food. Food is just food, no matter how many calories, carbs, sugars, whatever is in it. Unless you have life-threatening allergies or dietary restrictions to follow, you should feel free to eat whatever food you want to without beating yourself up about it.
To the critics of hers, they were saying that this was an unfactual and unhealthy idea to promote. Of course, if you're eating nothing but carrots, that is very unhealthy, and chocolate can be included in a healthy diet. But there are some foods that factually are considered more healthy given their nutritional benefits, and on the flip side, some are considered less healthy. One such person that critiqued Ilymation was Think Before You Sleep, a right-wing commentary creator that often makes content calling out people with flawed or outright dumb logic. If you look through his channel, quite a lot of his content is about fat acceptance or fat activism. Well, Think Before You Sleep went in hard on Ilymation, spending 36 minutes discussing it. To some people, this video was quite excessive. So Ilymation wanted to strike back, but she did it in a way that dug her hole even deeper. In Think Before You Sleep's own words, this is what she did to him.
Hi everyone. I usually don't start videos out like this, but today is a special occasion. Earlier, I found out that someone I made a video on got offended and has started a mass flagging campaign against me to try and get this video taken down. Now, because of the urgency of the situation and considering that my channel is on the line because Alyssa has millions of followers and she's well connected to a bunch of other powerful YouTubers, I rushed to make a community post about it just in case I got a channel strike before I got the chance to comment.
The thing is, if I was to get mass reported every time I made a video that was critical of a content creator, this channel would be nothing but smoldering ash and dust. Think Before You Sleep's video, at the end of the day, was mostly a critique. And so Ilymation, in many people's eyes, didn't really have the grounds to flag it. In many of her critics' eyes, trying to take it down was a step too far. Especially given that Ilymation herself admitted that she hadn't actually seen the video. It was like she was throwing a grenade with a blindfold on. If she hadn't seen it, then how could she justify trying to get it taken down? This in turn led to even more hate going towards Ilymation, because now people weren't even mad at the thing that they were initially mad at. They were mad at Ilymation's response to it. And then, ladies and gents, things went nuclear. After this, 4chan for some ungodly reason decided to dox Ilymation and they leaked her address. She had to move out of her apartment, and because she was moving out early, she had to pay a lot of money to void her lease, and she had to do all of this because she genuinely feared for her safety. At the time, many people, Think Before You Sleep included, were disavowing the doxers. This entire thing came across as this weird game of table tennis, where every single hit just escalated it further and further. There should be no pipeline whatsoever where someone's saying food is food, carrots aren't inherently healthy, and chocolate isn't inherently unhealthy. There should be no pipeline where that leads to someone fearing for their life. It's insanity. There is more to the drama. Noah Samson eventually got involved in it, and videos were being made about it literally months afterwards. On the one hand, you had people that thought that Think Before You Sleep was a fair critic, exposing bad takes. And on the other, there were people who saw him as a bully who knowingly sicked his fanbase on a creator that was opening up and being vulnerable. So what was the end result? Well, audiences, for the most part, were fairly split down the middle. To some people, Ilymation was a cry bully, which is one of my favourite terms I've ever learned, but to others, she was the unfortunate victim of a harassment campaign. To be honest, that's why I've included her first. Even at her worst, she is nowhere near as bad as some of the other people that we'll get onto later. But for the most part, this should have been a nothing burger. Just the escalation of this drama was ridiculous. But surely the punishment didn't fit the crime, even if you think that she was the bad guy in this. But as I said before, we're starting off a bit lighter before we get into the worst stories. So further down the rabbit hole we'll march with our next story, concerning a greedy, grifting farce of a channel which might even put Nutshell Animations to shame with its laziness and desire for money by any unethical means possible. Allow me to share its story. It's no secret that YouTube can be extremely lucrative, but what happens when you try to monetize off children's curiosity by exposing them into themes and topics that are inappropriate for their age? What you have to remember is that by and large, most animation content on YouTube is marketed towards children. I know that most people watching this video will be interested in the animation niche, and not all of you guys will be children, there will be some adults here, but I think it's fair to say that the majority of animation content is made generally for younger people. And a channel like Share My Story would have a massive part of their audience be children and young teenagers, despite the fact that they make content that is completely inappropriate for those sorts of people. So let's take a walk down the channel's history so I can show you the kind of content that they've been making. I gave birth in jail at 16. I'm surprised that that thumbnail is even allowed. I'm pregnant with the wrong baby. Take a look at this. Need I say more? Adopted by a billionaire, and the thumbnail seems to be implying that this new adopted father is pursuing his daughter. I am wearing diapers at 17, which definitely won't be watched by any freaks with a fetish, nor will I am breastfed at 16. Totally normal content, guys, nothing to see here.
Hey, I'm Chris, and I've always been very close with my mom. I guess it's because my dad left us when I was a baby. Ever since, our favorite activity was her breastfeeding me. But on my 10th birthday, she asked me if I wanted to stop doing it. I was shocked and started crying because I loved drinking my mom's milk. It tastes much better than cow milk.
That video, by the way, is on 7.6 million views. Provided it's monetized, this video likely made tens of thousands of dollars, okay? Some of you guys watching this will bust your ass for 40 hours a week and be on minimum wage. That person made potentially tens of thousands of dollars for this absolute slop. The fact of the matter is, whoever is behind this channel won. They have more than 250 million channel views, and that's only scratching the surface. If you take a look at its social blade, you'll notice a very strange viewership chart. The channel took down videos which in total received 400 million combined views. Now, I'm not the first person to mention Share My Story in my content. Sournail, another content creator, made a video about them several years ago, where he mentioned a few things about the channel that I want to go over. Number one, and I don't know how important this is to you, but I definitely find it interesting. At one point in the video, Sournail goes over the content that the channel's made in the past, and I noticed something that caught my eye. Sournail mentioned a video that was uploaded several years ago, by the time that he was covering it, which was back in like 2023. So the initial video would have been made like in the early 2020s. But when I saw it on their channel, it was only a couple of months old. So why have they made the same video but uploaded it years apart? Well, I have two theories. Theory A is that YouTube demonetized a lot of their content, so now they're re-uploading their old content to try and get it monetized again. Theory B is a bit more sinister. That theory is that the content has always been monetized, but they're trying to re-upload it to cycle in more views. Most of the time on YouTube, videos get the majority of their views in the first couple of months. So most of my content from back in 2021 get relatively 0 views at this point. However, if I was to take them down and then re-upload them, everyone that was watching me would get a notification and then they'd be like, oh, let me watch this, and that might kind of get the video back into the algorithm, if you know what I mean. Long story short, they're just recycling their old content and getting paid for it. The sextuplet video, for example, had almost 10 million views when Sournail covered it, but now the re-upload only has 47,000. And it's the same length, so they haven't cut anything out. I really don't know why this was taken down and then re-uploaded the exact same several years later. And then I noticed something else. Within Sournail's video, he includes a screenshot of someone saying, "Only legends remember this video was uploaded before." So these guys have been re-uploading their own content for years, even back in 2023. And number 2, the stories are fake. I don't know how big of a deal this is to you. To me, it doesn't matter so much, but there have been animated Tell My Story channels in the past which have taken user-submitted tales and, brought them to life with the power of animation. And this channel tries to pass itself off as one of those. But it's not real. And if you think that a 16-year-old is out there sucking his mum's tits and then is telling an animated Storytime channel about it, I'm sorry, that's on you. And number 3, and this is the main point that I'm trying to hammer home, is that the main demographic for this content is kids and teenagers. Probably upwards of maybe like 14 years old. Because no 50-year-old in their right mind is going to see an animated story of a 16-year-old sucking his mum's breast milk till she's gone dry and go, oh, that sounds like a reasonable video to watch, let me click on that. Doesn't happen. But a 10-year-old might see that and go, well, you know what? This kind of content, the animated story times that are made for young people, usually provide some sort of moral or some sort of lesson so that the people that are watching it can actually learn something. But what are you going to be learning from a 17-year-old who's still wearing nappies? There is no moral there. These topics are generally incredibly taboo, and they provide no commentary or insight on them. And this has gone unchecked for years. The channel may have started back up too. They've uploaded no content in 9 months, and all of a sudden they have 2 videos in 2 days as of the time I'm recording this. They're probably just doing the classic recycle again. So let me question YouTube here. What does this channel actually provide? They're definitely bending the rules purely for profit. Is this the sort of channel that we want to reward on the platform? Especially given YouTube's recent policy change on recycling content, I think I might just give them an @ on Twitter to give this channel a look, because that seems to be exactly what they're doing. But before we move on to our next case, I'd quickly like to say that if you're enjoying this right now, please make sure that you don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Every single like, comment, subscription is genuinely appreciated. I cannot understate that. Part 1 of this performed better than I could have even imagined. So there's definitely a possibility that I make more content like this, but the only way that I can find out if that was just a flash in the pan or if you guys are genuinely interested in this content is if you engage with it. So liking, commenting, and subscribing. So definitely keep the support coming. With that said, things are about to get rocky. In the last video, many of you guys recommended that I looked into RockyRakoon, so shout out to you for getting involved in the comments. So for anyone who's over the age of say 13 that's watching this, let me fill you in on who RockyRakoon is and why they're controversial, because I would wager the chances are you probably don't know. He's an animation YouTuber with more than 4 million subscribers, so a very large channel with a massive fan base of, well, kids. Throughout the years, many people have questioned RockyRakoon's behaviour, and one of the biggest examples of this was when he made a very sus animation of the girl doll from Squid Game.
Somebody stop me!
Yes, somebody stop you, RockyRakoon, because what the hell is this? This was included within a since deleted video where he had a bunch of animated girls doing something called the Jacko pose. The post was a zeitgeist of 2021 and became a challenge where people would shove their ass in the air above their head, like the character Jacko Valentine from the Guilty Gear franchise. To be honest, I think that this became a challenge because people wanted to see others get in that position. This is the writer's thinly veiled fetish. Maybe my brain's just porn rotted, ladies and gents. Maybe it's just me, but I think that that position is damn suggestive. So when you're putting the little girl doll from Squid Game in that position, people are gonna be questioning it. There is no way you can see this and think otherwise. I absolutely refuse to believe it. Obviously, it's a doll, so it doesn't have an age technically, but it's voiced by a 10-year-old and it's very clearly meant to be like a baby. So my question is, why did this dude think it was appropriate to take the time out of his day to make this? This would have taken some serious time. This is hand-drawn animation. RockyRakoon would cry on stream over the backlash and eventually took the video down. But some fans were quite sure that these were merely crocodile tears. Because, I mean, just look at his thumbnails. Are these not appealing to people that might be getting off to animated characters? Like, half of the thumbnails contain female characters in their bras and knickers, or male characters with no shirt on but crazy defined abs. In a video about the animator, a creator of the name Goat Cheese Juice was able to track down an apology by Rocky, where he stated that he made the Squid Game doll animation for more views. According to Rocky, putting the character in that position would get it seen more. So now we know for a fact that he's not above selling sex for profit. And that leads us even further down the rabbit hole because RockyRakoon was said to have an extremely controversial Patreon. Essentially, Rocky at a point in time made NSFW drawings and put them on their Patreon. But the problem with that is that when they came to promote their Patreon, they're essentially promoting NSFW content to their child audience. Apparently they were using the Patreon logo to cover up any nudity, so it's not like they were, explicitly showing anything. But when a large portion of your audience is made up of children, then some people don't exactly like it when you're plugging this kind of content. RockyRakoon still uploads, and while he sees a ton of hate, I'll be honest, this dude mogs basically everyone with his monthly view counts. Call me Dokes, because I'm on to you, RockyRakoon. I've seen what you do. I know who you are. I just can't prove it yet. And next up is a content creator that did drop the ball. And that creator is Nyanwolf. Nyanwolf is an animator that was recommended for me to look into by a commenter known as KissenOpies. As I said in the last video, if there are any other animators that I haven't yet covered, comment their names down below and I'll be sure to look into them. For Nyanwolf though, their controversy has been breaking over the past several days, and it is one of the most debaucherous and perverted I have ever heard of. So for the vast majority of you guys watching this that don't know him, Nyanwolf is an animator with over 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. And they were exposed a short while ago by a YouTuber known as Sharky Leo for having an alt account where they were caught liking pictures of furry fetish porn and feral porn. This account is confirmed to be Nyanwolf, given that firstly, its username is Lycan Slasher, which is a known alias of Nyanwolf, and because it posts art of Nyan's characters, and Nyanwolf's Instagram profile picture is art that was posted on the Lycan Slasher Blue Sky alt account, and when confronted within DMs, it was admitted. So this is Nyanwolf. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching this might be wondering what the problem is, and please do allow me to get to it, because being a furry isn't a crime or anything. You're not gonna get arrested for coming out as a furry. There are known furries on YouTube. I think Pyrocynical is like confirmed a furry, and when he admitted it, it actually saved his career, it didn't ruin it. And that's where I have to tell the uninitiated the difference between furry porn and feral porn. Now, despite my username, FoxAkimbo, I am not a furry. I'm denying the allegations now, guys. I am not a furry. It just so happens that the name kind of sounds like it belongs to a furry. When I made it, I didn't think I would get this far. So it's not my forte, but to my understanding, the difference between furry and feral is that furry focuses on the mixture of human and animal features, I guess. So there might be, let's say, a fox, and the fox is like ripped. It has like, you know, six-pack abs and broad shoulders or whatever. Maybe it has boobs, for example. But you wouldn't see that in an actual fox. It's got anthropomorphic features. Whereas if you were into feral, it would straight up just be a fox. It would be on all fours. It wouldn't have human features whatsoever. It would just be a fox that's drawn in a weird way. And for critics of Nyanwolf, they're essentially calling them a zoophile, meaning that they are sexually attracted to animals. For example, and I can't believe I'm showing this, this is literally just a dog farting, but it was liked by Nyanwolf. There are no human features on this dog whatsoever. There is nowhere to hide. What about this image turns someone like Nyanwolf on? Because I struggle to find any way it's anything but because it looks like a dog. And because he has some sort of weird fart fetish. Upon confrontation, Nyanwolf claimed that they didn't know that this classed as feral porn, they just quickly liked it and didn't check. If you want to know more about the case, I'll link Sharky Leo's channel down below. Nyanwolf has since dismissed the zoophile claims, saying that they are purely allegations. Now, I'm not going to wield the hammer of justice and say that Nyanwolf is confirmed to be a zoophile, because I don't know for certain. But given the content that they have engaged in, with a lot of that being animals that are half naked, animals that are on leashes, animals farting, animals covered in blood, given the deviancy of this content, because this is straight up some like, you know, pretty niche and taboo stuff, I don't think it would be the furthest stretch of the imagination to say that they could be into literal animals or feral. Again, not confirmed, but it has been quite hard to find any new information on this because, as you might be able to expect, Nyanwolf has been on lockdown over the past several days. It seems like they've tried to scrub their Blue Sky account and they've limited comments on their content. So right now for Nyanwolf, it really doesn't look good. But we do have a bit of a conclusion to this story. This is recorded in post, so please do forgive the audio quality, but this morning, when I was going through Nyan's Twitter to grab some tweets, I saw that they did admit to liking NSFW kink drawings of fat Pokemon, and that arguably it was feral. However, they still persist that they are not a zoophile, and say that they were on a load of substances at the time. Whether or not you think this is just some lame excuse, or legitimate reasoning, I'll let you make up your own mind. That said, I do want to mention, please you guys do not harass anyone that I featured in this video. I do not condone it whatsoever. But if you are looking to pile onto something, then why don't you pile on to some more FoxAkimbo content? Why don't you check out my recent video on content creators' face reveals that went horribly wrong? I feel like with the amount of craziness within this video, that one works. So click on the screen right now to check it out. Also, I have a Twitter and Instagram, so don't forget to follow me there if you want to see what I'm getting up to and what I have to say. Link in the description. Aside from that, I'd like to say thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.